Gun control has been a major issue since guns were first made legal in the US. A high percentage of Americans have all sorts of guns in their homes, ranging from revolvers to pistols, and they're just laying around waiting for an accident to happen. Solving this issue can be significant when Congress passes a bill restricting access to guns and even making more laws to help gun safety. Guns in homes have become a normal thing, and owning a gun is increasing in the US. Yet, so many people have been affected from this gun epidemic. According to David Hemingway, 2011, from 2003 to 2007, more than 680 Americans were killed accidentally with firearms. More than half of them were at home. I once knew this kid back in 5th grade. He had missed a couple of months of school, so I got worried since I knew him personally. A couple months later, though, he did eventually come back to school, but instead, with a perfect smile on his face, he came back with a mask. Under that mask was a gun wound that his brothers had shot him with. He was only 11. His brothers that day found a gun hidden in their parents' room and thought it would be fun to go shoot a gun in the back of their yard. Unfortunately, this did take a gruesome turn instead. I do remember this. His brother shot him in the face. Luckily, though, it had only brushed it. But think about the other children who have had run-ins with guns and who haven't been able to come back and tell their tale. Now, this boy is scarred physically and mentally, especially his self-esteem, which is lowered due to this shooting. Guns are taken out of homes regularly to places such as rallies and protestings. People bring guns everywhere they go, but not only as a protecting weapon, but other times as a method of threatening others. A rally back in 2017 had formed to preserve an old statue that was protecting a soldier from the Civil War era. Instead, though, Charlottesville had shed blood that day because white supremacists brought a gun to a peaceful rally to defend this statue. Own police were outgunned by these gun owners, David Hemingway 2011 writes. Instead of the police taking care of the matter, the other protesters shot the others, and unfortunately, most of them died that day. Shootings at rallies have not been the only ones. There have been school shootings and even club shootings. Americans with mental health issues are easily getting guns, which is leading to killings and even mass murders. In 2007, a dreadful day at Virginia Tech occurred. An undergraduate from Virginia Tech brought a gun to school. Nobody even knew until he shot a total of 47 students. 32 of them died, including himself. He committed suicide that day. Now, I will not say names because of personal reasons, but he was a super problematic student who had mental health issues that were never addressed. Nobody even knew about that, and yet somehow he still was able to get his hands on a gun. A few steps have been taken to limit access, such as increasing screening for mental health problems, increasing referrals to mental health services, increasing funding for mental health in schools, and even increasing access to mental health care in general as a way to decrease gun violence, says Friedman Rose 2007. Even if legislation did not have a mental health check to purchase guns, there should be some sort of security check at the front of the office to make sure that gun violence does not happen at schools. Congress has passed thousands of bills that have benefited America. To get Congress to fully understand a bill, though, about gun control, more research must be done. Earlier this decade, the government had actually banned gun violence research. But after the Parkland shooting, the government didn't want to jump to conclusions. As Ken Mitchell, 2018, states, to improve understanding the real effects of gun policies, Congress should consider lifting current restrictions and appropriation legislation that limits research funding and access to data. Mitchell's statement is the baseline to getting Congress to pass a bill restricting guns. Without evidence and support, there will be no way that Congress will even know what is going on positively and negatively with the guns. Members of Congress need to take the necessary steps to get to the point of passing a bill. Research in the private sector has also increased. Associations like community health education campaigns and anticipatory guidance by healthcare providers have done research that a gun in the home increases the mortality rate of household members. That is your family inside the house. Solutions that were given from these organizations were to educate people on the dangers of guns. But what more can we as civilians do to help out these gun laws? More should be done by making these restrictions a law that prohibits the purchase of a weapon unless it is being used by a military or official police officer. People in America think that the Third Amendment, the right to bear arms, should not be taken away. But when the amendment was made, the police force was not a job yet. So people had to protect their own selves. But this does not mean anything nowadays since we do have a police force. Congress increasing background checks would not be an infringement on our rights because, as John Yoo 2020 mentions, to keep and carry any weapons whatsoever in any manner whatsoever and for whatever purpose is not a part of the amendment. Guns can be a helpful resource, but for only police officers. Weaponry such as guns should not be held by any irresponsible person because this leads to death all over the country. Imagine your child getting a hold of a gun.